Welcome to the Writer's Block. I'm Jenni Carlson. I'm here with Cedric Golden.
On location, baby. No split screen today.
That's right. Austin American Statesman, the Oklahoman. Good to be with you. We are here at Big 12 Media Day, and since we're actually in the same building for once, we thought we would get together and do some Writer's Block. Cedric, I think probably being that we are here at Big 12 Football Media Day, we're going to focus all on Big 12 football right now because we're essentially a month away from practice getting started. Oklahoma picked again to win the league. They've been that team over the last couple years. Is there a reason to pick against the Sooners this year in your mind?
Well, if you're thinking about law of averages and you're talking about the field, maybe it's time for the field. 4 in a row.
Right.
Lincoln Riley's a god. He's a quarterback whisperer. Sam Ehlinger and the Texas Longhorns did beat them last year, but they lost to him in the conference title game. So winning that Sugar Bowl should get Texas some confidence going in against OU. Hopefully another twofer. We loved that. We love when the two big dogs are barking the loudest. But if you got to pick a team to win the Big 12, Jen, it's got to be the Oklahoma Sooners. I know it sounds chalky, but it is what it is.
Well, it's hard to pick against them because they've had turnover. Let's not forget. I mean, Baker Mayfield was there for 3 years, but then he's out the door. Kyler Murray's in. They win it again last year. Now, obviously, Murray off to the NFL. Now it looks like Jalen Hurts. Oklahoma's still not saying for sure that Hurts is the guy, but it seems like a foregone conclusion at this point that Jalen Hurts is that guy. It seemed like a foregone conclusion the day he announced he was going to Oklahoma.
Of course.
But you do have a new quarterback. You also have 4 new offensive linemen, and you don't have Marquise Brown, that speedster receiver. But it's been very much plug and play with the Lincoln Riley offense. You know, we've seen that offensive line regurgitate, come back, do it again. You got to think they'll have a little bit of a learning curve, but Bill Bedenbaugh has done a great job getting that offensive line together. So, I think it's going to be interesting to see, can Texas, it's probably going to have to beat them twice.
Yes.
I mean, that's the thing. While Texas, obviously, great game in that Red River rivalry, then you got to beat them again in the Big 12 title game. It didn't happen last year. Can it happen this year? And can it happen when you've got, teams like Oklahoma State? Can they be a player in this whole thing? West Virginia, how are they going to replace Will Grier, Austin Kendall, the Oklahoma quarterback going there? You're going to have some teams trying to make their way in this league, and yet it does seem like those two are pretty solidly at the top right now.
Yeah, it's kind of a chasm. There's those two, then there's maybe Iowa State.
Yeah.
Mike Hamler returns a lot of guys. It's going to come down to quarterback play. It's a quarterback's league, and I think Lincoln Riley is one of the 3 or 4 best quarterback minds in all of football, not just college, or all of football. He could go be a coordinator or a head coach at the NFL level if he wanted to be. So beating them twice is a tough double for any team, including the Texas Longhorns. The Longhorns are probably the most equipped to do it, coming off a Sugar Bowl win over a highly respected SEC team in Georgia, but the Longhorns lost 8 or 9 starters from that defense, which had its ups and downs under Todd Orlando. So I'm of the opinion that OU doesn't rebuild, they reload. As long as Lincoln Riley's the common denominator, they're going to be in the mix. They are always going to be the favorite. Texas kind of closed the gap a little bit, but not as much as some Longhorn fans may hope. That defense is going to have some growing pains. So 5 games before they have to play OU in the Red River Shootout, we'll know then if they're ready to actually make a real run at the Big 12. At the end of the day, Jen, it was a nice bounce back year for Texas after 3 years in the wilderness under Charlie Strong. Nice bounce back year, but at the end of the day, you lost 4 games. You went 10-4, so you didn't go 13-1. You went 10-4, and you lost to Maryland. So still a lot of work to be done for the Longhorns. OU, it's still their ball to take it and run with.
You mentioned defense, and Big 12 Media Day always launches with Bob Bowlesby, the commissioner of the Big 12. And one of the things he made sure to make a point of was he wanted to tell us all how good Big 12 defenses were when they played some of these non-Big 12 teams. And it's true that there were some positives in the bowl season, those sorts of things. But Kenneth Murray is the preseason Defensive Player of the Year in the Big 12, the Oklahoma linebacker, who's actually probably going to be a starter.
Yeah.
But they're trying to figure out where he fits. So he's not yet sort of, I don't think, a solid like anchor type of guy for the Oklahoma defense, and yet he's Defensive Player of the Year in the preseason, which to me says the defenses, maybe they did well in the bowl season. Maybe there was some signs of life from Big 12 defenses, but this league is all offense. I mean, nobody's going out and trying to find, the next, I don't know who you want to put in there, Bill Belichick defensively to come in and fix your team. Would it be nice? Maybe, but these teams are building around offense. Even the new coaches in the league, Matt Wells at Texas Tech, K-State, Kansas might be the rare exception, going out and getting Les Miles, more of a defensive guy. Mm-hmm. But
until they play a game.
But even Les said here at Big 12 Media Day that, I think he recognizes that the offenses in this league are going to really dictate a lot of what he does at Kansas and a lot of what his defense is capable of doing. Defense, not optional in the Big 12, but definitely not as premium, even though Bob Bowlesby might want you to believe otherwise. It's not the hallmark of this league. So.
First to 30, baby, gets the win. First to 30, and sometimes that's at halftime.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's talk about some of the coaches here. Obviously, players, they're the ones we'll see running around on Saturdays, but college football, college sports in general, coaches are oftentimes the one that people rally around. Obviously, I mentioned 4 new head coaches in the Big 12. Do you think that turnover is that going to lead us anywhere different in this league? Obviously, you've got OU, OSU, Texas retaining coaches, Baylor as well. After it sounded like some pro teams made a run at Matt Rule a little bit. But are we going to see a change when you've got 40% of the league having new coaches this year?
I don't think so. As long as those coaches know how to score points, they will fit in. They will become acclimated to the Big 12. What happens, and to me, I think it's a great thing for the league, Jen, is you see guys like Cliff Kingsbury who didn't really win in this conference still getting NFL jobs. It lets you know that the game itself, college and pro, has moved its way, is kind of trending toward offense, winning games by scoring a lot of points. Defense wins championships. That's from the 70s. I think offense is winning championships now. So I just know the Super Bowl was a low-scoring game, but that was an anomaly.
Yeah.
So defense did win championships for many years, but in the Big 12, it's offense is winning championships. We're not talking about Bednarik winners and stuff like that. We're talking about Heisman Trophy winners in the Big 12, Baker Mayfield and guys like that. Patrick Mahomes didn't win a Heisman, but this guy was a stud quarterback. So we know what moves the needle in the Big 12, and it ain't the guys on the other side of the ball. It's quarterbacks, it's wide receivers, and it's running backs.
Yeah, and I think even though you saw a guy like Dana Holgorsen, and you mentioned Cliff Kingsbury, those two guys who were kind of tip of the spear when it comes to air raid in a lot of ways, you see them exiting the conference. I still think, it's definitely going to remain a league where you see a lot of passing because you've got your top teams that, I can't remember who said it, but, wanting to score every play. Mm-hmm. I mean, essentially it's not looking for the home run, every 10 plays. They want to hit a home run every time the ball is snapped. And that changes so many things. You look around the country at other conferences, and the volume of passing, it's not, I actually did some number crunching last year, and it's not that much more in the Big 12. It's just the style of passing, that cross country, spread the field, stretch everyone out. That changes things so dramatically, and I don't think that is going to change, even though we did see a couple of those air raid disciples, those early adopters leaving the conference. And last thing before we get out of here, Big 12 Media Day, you start to think about the season. Any particular players, any particular games? I mean, we can obviously sit here and say OU Texas,
Of course.
Bedlam. I mean, all those sorts of games are going to be games that we all look forward to. But players, non-conference games, anything that you're really looking forward to when it comes to this Big 12 season?
Well, besides Texas OU, sorry, Jen. Texas LSU second weekend. That's kind of a barometer game for Tom Herman and LSU, and that's going to be a game everybody's watching. It's a big SEC Big 12 big smash mouth type atmosphere. Going to be in Austin. If Texas can get that one under their belt and get off to a really good start, that'll give them a lot of confidence going into that OU game. That's the one that I'll be watching.
Yeah, and non-conference games, I think everybody in the Big 12 has done a good job of finding that one really marquee type of game. But, Oklahoma, while they've got UCLA, which was supposed to be their marquee, but obviously Chip Kelly's still trying to get the Bruins turned around. They've got Houston in their opener,
Nice.
and they've moved that to a Sunday night in Norman. An attempt to really get a high-profile TV type of game on campus. That's that Labor Day weekend when you don't have school, work on Monday. I'm curious to see how that Sunday night goes. And OU, and I know Texas is the same, they've been hesitant to schedule non-Saturday on-campus games because of traffic and all the logistics. But Sunday and that Labor Day weekend, I wonder if OU might find a sweet spot there. And is that going to become maybe not as much of a tradition as, say, Thursday night at South Carolina? There's some schools that have really made that opening weekend, done some really traditional things. But it's going to be fascinating to watch fans, businesses, attendance. Not necessarily. They've sold out for years. They're going to continue to sell out. But how many butts in the seats? What does that look like? I'm curious to see how that all happens. And this, while it's not the first day of practice or the first week of games, this feels like the start of football to me. So
It is.
Yeah. So we'll be talking a lot more football in the coming weeks. Stay with the Writer's Block. We'll catch up with you soon. And unfortunately, it won't probably be in person.
That's okay.
But we'll keep coming at you with Writer's Block. Come back and see us again.